guess we can start. So, Interstellar Thermonuclear War is a very unwieldy name. I'm pretty very much aware of it. It was on purpose. And I don't know, are you guys, do you use Eclipse? Are you aware of what Cola is? I don't know. Anybody know? Niels does.
Except for fanboy.
Alright guys, so we held this talk. I gave a couple of talks something like 2 weeks ago in Santa Clara for EclipseCon. So these are the EclipseCon slides, slightly pimped for GTUG. So this is more or less the Redux version. Yeah. So guys, by the way, that's all programmer art, so please bear with me, but all of you guys look like programmers and you don't resemble artists, so I hope that you can deal with this. Alright guys, so I'm not here all by myself. I'm here with Sebastian Schmidt, and Sebastian was my Google Summer of Code student 2010. I was a Google Summer of Code student 06, and then interned with Google in California and whatnot. But this is not just about our personal history, this is actually about a really interesting technology. This is about, well, it's about a lot of Google technologies put together to resemble something more than the sums of the single parts. And it's, there's a little bit of Google Wave in a cool context. There's Google Android. There's, well, the Summer of Code I already mentioned, so let's embark on our journey. So this talk is about how to build a fancy syncing technology and a multiplayer game demo in less than a week. And now I hear you all going like, oh no, that's not possible, right? But it is. And this is not just to show off. This is actually to demonstrate that the technologies that we've used and the way that we've used them is actually an enabler. It's truly an enabler technology if you can put together something that resembles, well, at least a game tech demo within, well, actually it was 5 days. So I hear you're going, a game, wrong conference. GDC was, well, actually 4 weeks ago at GTUG. Yes, it's true. It's at GTUG, it's a game, but you know what? The focus is not the game. The focus is something else, something that's actually really, really hard, and if you've ever fiddled with this, then you know that it's hard. It's about concurrently modifying shared state. And that's a bitch. That's terrible. That's really hard. And you know what? If you try to do that in a weight-free manner, it gets even harder. And you know what? If you try and strive for consistency, oh my god, you're pretty much hosed. Unless you dive into low-level details. Or you follow in our footsteps and use the same technologies. So it's really hard, but we got an idea. We got an idea on how to do this, make this easier and better. So, I don't know, are you guys aware of Cola? Anybody heard that? Anybody? Niels knows, a couple more people. Well guys, Cola was my summer code project in 2006, 5 years ago, been a long time. And Cola, well, if you leave branding to a developer, you get Cola. It's for collaborate, I know, very creative. So, alright, so the whole Cola part, that's actually real-time shared text editing, something that Google came up or utilized in a very, very similar manner in Wave and now in Google Docs. Actually, Microsoft does the same now in not Google Office, in Microsoft Office 2010. And you know what? All of this is more or less always based on one really, really good paper, very well written, interesting technology, very nice, very good algorithms. It's called it's by Nichols et al. It's a 1995 Xerox PARC paper, and it's called Jupyter Collaboration in Low Bandwidth, High Latency Networks. So, and you know what? This is exactly the case. And this is what we're actually dealing with when we deal with Android, when we deal with high latency networks, when we deal with cellular networks. So you know what? Real-time shared text editing is interesting, but after a while it got more or less, dare I say, boring. So I had been thinking about, let's revisit this. Let's revisit those algorithms, because the algorithms themselves, usually referred to as optimistic concurrency control, those are generic, but nobody actually went out and used them for anything else, for anything beyond real-time shared text editing. So I was going like, okay, what else? What else could you do? And I came up with, I really like electronic gaming. Some of you guys might know that I've been very involved with electronic gaming thing, right? So, yeah, so why games as new app domain? Beyond the obvious, because games are fun, but there have been 2 recent developments, 2 reasons that really make this highly interesting, even if you haven't ever thought about building your own game. One of them is games meet Java. Java never caught on with game developers. It never did. I know of a single game that had been developed in Poland, got a fairly large release, but I think they utilized Java for AI, and all the graphics intensive stuff was still C++. And back in the day it was OpenGL. Now most people use DirectX. But whatever. This time it's for reals. It works. You know what? Android brought both of them together. Android actually works. Android, Java, cell phones, all the APIs, it works. It's fun. But as soon as you try to do this, that's the second development. As soon as you try to do this, have your devices, and those have become ubiquitous. I'm pretty much sure that most of you guys have either an Android phone or an iPhone or an iPad, soon an Android tablet. But the interesting part is, on these platforms, most games, if they support the multiplayer mode, they just support that multiplayer mode when you're connected to a wireless LAN. They don't support when you're in cellular networks. And the reason for that is managing real-time state concurrently in a high-latency network is really, really hard. But what you can do is, we've done this for real-time shared text editing. Well, if you come up with a method, if you come up with a homomorphism from the text domain to arbitrary game objects to game worlds, then you might probably solve it with algorithms that already exist. And that's what we did. So, all right, even more programmer art, so sorry about this. This was like the very first concept art about game mechanic that I drew on a tablet. Can you tell what's happening? Oh God. I shall help you.
Optimistic.
David, I don't want feedback from you anymore. Alright guys, so these are planets, obviously. As are the red planets up there, and these are nuclear missiles, right? And these nuclear missiles, as you can tell, can blow up. They collide against planets, nuke those planets, or they can hit other rockets and neutralize those. And here you actually have a multi-warhead, really fancy stuff. So that was concept art back in the day. But now let's think about this. Let's think about real-time shared text editing. What are potential conflicts in real-time shared text editing? Because that's like my experience. People, when they first try their hand at this, they think it's easy, text editing, how hard can it be? Well, it is. You really have to think about how to manage shared state. Like for instance, if Felix, you and I would be editing a text document, let's say we have the same state, I delete the last paragraph, where you, just when I deleted it, inserted a sentence. So what's supposed to happen with that sentence? Is that supposed to vanish? Is it supposed to get integrated in my document when his change arrives at my site? Is it supposed to be surrounded by white space at both places? Can you insert something just somewhere? What if it was a statement within a method body that I deleted? So these kinds of things are problematic, but they can solve. And the same you can do with this. What's supposed to happen when one of my planets has been nuked away, but I'm on the subway, I don't know of my bad luck, and launch a nuke from that from the silo that's located on that planet? What's supposed to happen? Can that nuke still hit something? Can it destroy something? Is that something that's supposed to happen? I guess not. So, and that's why I deem this the perfect candidate for optimistic concurrency control in a different domain. Because players, gamers, know when you're screwing with them. They know when things are unfair. And this, ladies and gents, is Mr. Chubby, the politically incorrect missile. But I got chubby too, so I guess I can say that. So Mr. Chubby is a nuclear missile, as you can tell, I guess. And Mr. Chubby, by the way, has been drawn by a friend of mine, Telka Curtis. If you ever need a game person for your project, let me know. And now I would actually, before I keep telling you even more about this, first of all, I want Sebastian to say something, and before he does that, I'd actually love to show you a video demo, which we just recorded this noon. Now you might ask, hey Mustafa, why aren't we getting a live demo? You will get a live demo afterwards, once the talk is done, because it's an alpha stage build, it crashes, and the Android emulator does really funky stuff, and you can just show the Android emulator on the big screen. So let's see whether I can actually show you guys the video.
You can show the Honeycomb tablet on the screen too.
I could. Tablet I could probably. Alright guys, let's try this. This is an embedded, as you can tell, YouTube video, and I don't see my cursor, but I see play highlight. Is this gonna work? Guys, I'm not a semi-Googler anymore. Any Googlers want to step up here?
Not now, but maybe.
Huh,
Space
awesome.
always works.
Oh, all right, guys. That
This
was
is
my
something
very
you learn
personal
at an
fail.
Apple.
But guys, now be quiet. Watch this. Enjoy the chip tunes. So what you're seeing here is the launch screen that was specifically made for EclipseCon, and the nail polish is not mine. So you can actually register the game. Once you register, you end up in a waiting queue which matches best players against each other. And player data is kept in a MongoDB database. We have all kinds of fancy server-side stuff happening in the background on which we will fill you guys in on. And that actually, by the way, this is a wave. You know, this is not just some drawing. This state is represented by a wave. All these commutations, all those position changes, and all of these details, they get communicated via a wave. Alright guys, that's the demo, and let me see whether I can change this back to the slides.
Escape.
Escape? Oh, too many escapes? Huh. Alright guys. Okay, those were the ladies. So I thought, you know, in a room full of geeks, it might help to include two hot chicks. So no, these are actually good friends. One is Natasha, other is Christina, and they tried this just as alpha testers this noon. And what you've seen is, as I said, you've seen the wave, you've seen all those state changes getting communicated via wave, and actually you've also seen certain, you know, to a certain degree you've seen choppiness. And that choppiness is due to one phone having been connected via edge, I guess, and the other one was in an even worse network. That's the university, the Technical University of Munich network, which has even worse latency, it seems, even though, you know, we're on semester break right now. But it's really bad. It's like a cellular network on New Year's Eve. So yeah, it should show you guys that Wave is good for something, right? And it really manages, you know, it could serve as a unified, standardized platform for optimistic concurrency control. All right, guys, this is the architecture overview, and before I keep talking all the time, I would actually ask my former student, now fellow Eclipse committer, Sebastian, to come on stage and walk you through the backend, through the benchmaker bot, game master bot, and all the other good stuff we have. All right, Sebastian. Thanks, Yusuf. You're welcome.
So, do you guys actually want to see more of this, or should we just skip it? Okay, so these are our components that we have in our overall system. So on the left side of this program these are the clients. So we have an XMPP server, which we need because Google Wave doesn't support us when it comes to presence. So it's really not that much fun if you play against a player that isn't online at all. So we have to figure out whether one is online or not. So this is what the XMPP server does for us. Also, it does the complete user management for us. We have the Wave server, and I will show you some details there next. And actually a matchmaker bot is the first thing that you have seen. So during this searching screen, the matchmaker bot tries to find a gamer that is quite in your skill range. So what we actually do is we add key distance matcher. So each player has a win-loss ratio, and you will be matched with a player that is in the same window than you are. So the Wave server, we haven't really asked. You guys remember Google Wave? So we are here at GTUG. Should I say something about Google Wave? So, Google Wave is a product of Google, a former product of Google that was discontinued in the last year. But the interesting part is, at the same time, the Wave server and the Wave client was made as an Apache project. The Apache project is now in the incubation phase since, I guess, the 1st of March. I'm not really sure. And what we did during the last summer of code was we connected the ECFs, this is the Eclipse Communication Framework. It's a framework which bundles a lot of communication stuff, so you can communicate with XMPP, Wave, IRC.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. IRC. Skype is also cool, all in the same way and with the same APIs. So it's really cool. If you guys don't know, check it out. So, before I go into further details, how do we implement the Wave stuff? We see rockets, we see planets, and Google Wave gave us some very easy ways to implement the stuff. So in Google Wave, you can, like in column store or key value store, you can put elements with attributes and stuff like that. And this is a representation of a planet. You have a position, you have a radius and owner, you have a rocket with a path, which is the path where the rocket flies. The launch time, because you actually need to know where you are, and you have an owner. So I'll try to show this to you guys. So what I actually did is, as I told, the XMPP is used for presence. I started my pigeon and logged in Mustafa, so the Wave server now thinks that Mustafa is online and I can play against him. So this is actually the new and polished Wave. It's now called Apache Wave, it's an open source project. You can install it with our own server, you can install it wherever you want. And what I'm going to do now, unfortunately we didn't find a way to put this on the beamer. Have we one here? Has it got Android devices on beamer?
Just a short advice, it's called projector in English because all the time I'm telling US guys I need a beamer, they look at me and thinking about what, BMW? No, I don't
the
think
car
that.
is also cool.
Isn't there a camera in the IBM thing? On this
probably
strange
use the,
ThinkPad stuff, you know, right in front of you.
Yeah, actually it is, but I need a program, don't I?
What's up?
Mustafa, do you have a screen? This is Mustafa's one, isn't it?
No, it's my one actually. That's Mustafa's smartphone.
Ah, okay. Do you have Skype as well?
Yeah, indeed, there it is.
Sorry about that one.
Ja,
So? Ah, stimmt, du musst es erst aktivieren.
so ein Video einstellen, du kannst das direkt machen.
Yay, okay. We found a solution.
You want one?
Yeah, just one up and then on the Skype screen. Exactly, no. Just open
Here we are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just start the game, as you see.
As you might or might not see.
As you might or might not see, yeah.
Interesting. Something dark that's getting bright as the board. It's very
We could also maybe start a FaceTime with.
But I need to
Give
have
me
the
some
keyboard
minute.
locked.
I need to.
Okay, so I'm just in the game now, okay?
You broke it!
Okay.
Hey! Hooray!
So here we are again. So this is our game. You see 6 planets here, aren't you? 3 blue, 3 red. And what I'm going to do now is I connect to the Google Wave server. And as you guys see, here is a Wave, which has the Game Master invited, which has Jan invited and me invited. And I'm now going to go on rocket here. And you see the rocket appears here. So this is basically the way that we communicate this stuff. I don't really know. I just try to play with this client here. We have never tried this as a cheating client, but actually there are 3 planets left. I lost. So, okay. This is just to give you an idea about what we are doing here. Well, it's weird to see it myself. Okay, this was just a backdoor. I want to play video.
Lower right.
Here and
That's in the eye.
here. Here we go. So this is just a backup slide in case this one doesn't work. You see, it basically depends on the client whether he actually interprets the stuff you do with a wave or not. Okay, what we need to do for this, as I said, we use the Eclipse communication framework. So what we needed to do is to run Eclipse environments, the Eclipse runtime on an Android. So if this is something you are interested in, there are a wiki page. Okay, not my fault now. Okay, and yeah, the last one you saw is already what was there is the Game Master bot. The Game Master bot basically starts the game, so he creates planets for the players if they occur, and ends the game. So he puts the statistics into the MongoDB, and so thank you very much for GTUG. And yeah, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thanks guys. Alright, how much time do we have? Do we have time
5
for
minutes, 10 minutes.
Well,
it
10
depends on the interest of people in your.
10 minutes is much too long, so you have 3 guys. We have questions. I know it's hard, we didn't really go into detail with the algorithms, but that's on purpose. Those are hard, those are, you know, go ahead.
Say a little about the algorithm.
Actually, I can. Actually, I gave a tech talk at Google in Mountain View that you could watch on YouTube, which will fill you in, and that's 45 minutes. So, do you have a specific question? If you have a specific question, I could answer it. If not, just check out the website. I have a link there that's called videos. Just click it, and you'll see the Google Tech Talk.
To add something, I will add all the links and YouTube videos later, and then post to the mailing list and on blogs.
All right, different questions. First, Till, then David.
So this is a 2-player and multiplayer.
Actually, it's as many players as you can fit into the Wave server.
Algorithm also work with.
Yeah, it does. It's not just 2 players. It's as many as you can use. The algorithms are generic in that sense.
We had some issues putting more than 2 players on the Android devices because of the screen size actually. But we might figure out ways to do that.
I mean, I could spill the beans, We're thinking about doing depth parallax scrolling so that you could swipe around and have a larger map. But this is an alpha build, 5 days of development time, including client and server side. So that was really
Could you redo Ask and Dancy in this one, please? I miss it so.
David.
Yes, so your strategy would be to transfer a state, but is that like the bare minimum state for which you can recreate some of the other calculations on the other side? Or do you like transfer to, what was your strategy? Do you transfer the whole thing or just the bare minimum?
All right, so I'm not sure whether everybody heard that. So your question is, how much state do we actually communicate? Do we always communicate all of the state, or do we, do diffs, so to say, right? And the thing is, one of the naive approaches to this type of, to any kind of sharing state is when people just shove all of the state to the remote site, which doesn't solve concurrent access to state, and especially it doesn't solve consistency because you always would overwrite. Okay, so you send around diffs, but that's not the hard part actually. What you send around, or the true work, happens when you diff conflicting changes that originate from the same state but now arrive at a changed state locally. The operational transforms on these states. That's the hard part. That's the work, and that's what the Nichols et al. Paper really goes into.
So that's what Google Wave does for us. So just imagine you are in a tunnel. What's the English word for it?
Yeah, that's
So you're in a tunnel and still playing, and leave the tunnel and boop, your internet connection is up and running again. So all your states will then be transferred to the server, and the server resolves this in the time hierarchy. So that the state is consistent at any time.
Yeah.
Never drive and play.
he meant by train.
No, but you know what? Plane is interesting. I mean, just when we were in the States, we were hoping to, be in one of those Lufthansa flights that have wireless LAN. I'm certainly hoping for those. So, guys, any more questions, or should we wrap this up?
Just a short one. When will it be on GitHub?
You know what? I'm really thinking about open sourcing this. Not decided yet. Not decided what to do with the art methods. Whether everything should be open source or not. I'm an open source guy, so we are thinking about this, but not decided yet. So
You want the iPhone version?
there is no iPhone version.
Phone gap.
All right.
Actually, the algorithm, so the Google Wave connection stuff, is already on GitHub. It's just the artwork and game logic that is not there.
Yeah, so I'm only waiting for the mail for the information stuff, and then this will forward.
Like for instance, the matchmaker bot, the game logic bot, all of that stuff is closed right now.
Couldn't you just cheat with a customized client? Because as I know, Wave doesn't have any roles in the Wave, so
Okay.
the game master bot has to detect those cheats.
So the question is, couldn't you just cheat? Because Wave doesn't have any, security credentials, mechanism, and whatnot. You know what? Right now there are so many holes that you could just cheat all the time. I mean,
We showed you how to cheat.
yeah. Even the Wave server that we've set up doesn't have a password.
Couldn't
so
we?
don't tell you.
Couldn't we blacklist him?
I already have his face. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Last question.
You heard about this Eclipse framework and I suspect that this is probably only a buzzword.
No, we are Eclipse committers. We've been working on Eclipse for 5 years, 1 year. So it's not a buzzword. It's a really interesting API. It's the Eclipse communication framework. As soon as you Google for exactly that term or just ECF, you'll hit the Eclipse wiki with all the goodness. All right, guys. So thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.